The Chelyabinsk region is one of those places that offers something for everyone. Sitting just east of the Urals, the country's border between Europe and Asia, this is an ethnically diverse area of more than 3 million people. There's a bustling capital city to enjoy, and for the nature lovers, some of Russia's most stunning countryside is right on your doorstep.
As well as being very beautiful, this is also a very significant part of the Chelyabinsk region, because over there it marks the start of the European Ural Mountains, and also we're on top of one of Russia's most significant archaeological treasures.
Just a few meters away is the entrance to the Ignatievskaya cave, and it's supposed to contain some of the best preserved ancient artwork in the country.
That's definitely the place.
Hello, James.
My guide Lydia is an archaeologist who's been studying the cave for more than 20 years. The drawings here are from the Paleolithic period and are believed to illustrate the local tribesmen's rites of passage.
Hopefully you can see this little red clay mark up there on the walls. It's supposed to date back 14,500 years, and this cave was used by local young men as a sacred place where they would come and make themselves adults. Ow! Right. Well, this is definitely a cave for the brave, and not a cave for the claustrophobic. All right.
But it was worth the tight squeeze, because the drawings on the other side are truly spectacular.
You can see here, this is a huge horn, and it's supposed to belong to the figure of a unicorn, which is spread out over almost 4 meters of the roof. And that's actually supposed to symbolize man. And appropriately enough, it's linked to this figure here of a woman. Hopefully you can make out her head, and there's the body and breasts here, and her legs at the back. And just across, there's a line of dots showing that they are both joined as one.
The room has a strong spiritual aura, and I wasn't surprised to find that even after all this time, it's still used as a shrine.
So this is considered to be one, if not the most sacred place in the whole cave, and it's interesting to see how the ancient religions have come together with Christianity, because people began to believe that this little figure here actually started to look like an icon of Mary, and so Christians started to come here and worship and place little icons of their own. You can see they're still here, and it's still used as a place where people come and pray today, thousands and thousands of years after it was made.
This may be the most unusual icon in the region, but most of Chelyabinsk's artwork comes from one small town with an international reputation.
Chelyabinsk region has always been one of Russia's most important industrial areas because of the quality of its iron ore. But on this territory, there's been a factory that for more than 2.5 centuries has helped make it famous the world over.
Kasli Ironworks is credited with redefining cast iron art. It's won numerous international awards, and its sculptures appear in collections across the planet. But the manufacturing process has barely changed since its 1800s heyday.
And so here we've got some of the ingredients that have made the cast iron here so famous, and it's all local products basically. You've got over here the slightly lighter substance is clay, and the black is just local sand, but it contains properties that when mixed with the iron ore make a very strong form of cast iron, and that's why the artwork here is of such high quality. And our lady here is making one of the molds that the iron is going to be poured into. So she's covering the icon with layers of clay and sand. Once the actual icon has been removed, you have this perfect imprint left in the mold.
And then things really start to heat up.
So from this boiling hot stove here, wow, you get the liquid iron ore, sand and clay flowing into this bucket here. Best not to stare directly at it. So the liquid iron is being poured into these moulds here, where it will sit for 24 hours until it's cooled enough to be taken out, so the next part of the process can begin. But wow, pretty toxic in here. I'm going to move out of the way.
And once the metal reaches the right temperature, the factory artists can go to work.
So this is the next stage for our St. Nikolai here, now that he's come out of his mould. The ladies basically chisel down the fine details, smooth it, sand it, and make everything look just perfect.
Each piece receives plenty of expert attention, and some of the finest examples are kept in the factory for visitors to admire.
Now up here you can see just some of the results that have come of 2.5 centuries of craftsmanship and produced beautiful intricate models like these. And here you have the cast iron furniture that first made the company's name. And of course there's old St. Nick watching over it all.
But if you want to see a few larger pieces of Kasseli iron, then just take a trip to Chelyabinsk itself. This is the region's capital and its cultural and business centre. It's home to around 1.3 million people, and I was about to take a tour along its most beautiful street.
And so, if my calculations are correct, and this is what I think it is, we should be right in the very heart of Chelyabinsk, and that means that my friend Elena is over here.
Hi,
Hi,
how are
you doing? Yes, very good, thank you. So, am I right? This is the very centre of town?
Absolutely. This is the very center of the town. And you can just read it here. See? 0 mark of...
Chelyabinsk.
Absolutely. The point of calculation of any distance between the cities.
Okay.
Yelena has lived all her life in Chelyabinsk, and she's always keen to show off its sights and its wildlife.
We see the camel, the symbol of Chelyabinsk.
A very big camel.
The big camel. But actually, I think they all somehow became already the symbols of Chelyabinsk.
So,
look at this bird. Maybe you should touch
I think they're all supposed to be good luck symbols, aren't they? All right, so if we rub the birds and,
just in case, the head of...
and the camel as well.
Yeah.
And maybe this chap as well, because he has a nice hat. That
Yes,
never hurts to stack the odds, does
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. When you travel, it's not bad to have a good camel with you.
The Chelyabinsk region rests in both Europe and Asia, and its territorial position means it's become an ethnic melting pot.
So central, you have that European culture mixed with Asian culture as well.
That's what's specific about us.
I was ready to experience some of this ethnic culture firsthand, and when there's a celebration in these parts, they don't do things by halves.
So we've got music, some very colourful people, and an extremely muddy field. I can almost be at Glastonbury here, but this festival promises to be just as good. It's called Sabantui, and it is the national Bashkiri and Tatar event of the year.
And don't be surprised if you bump into a special guest or two.
Look, I've even got the presidential seal of approval. Thanks, Dmitry.
Sabantui is a summer festival that's been celebrated for over 1,000 years, and I was about to meet up with someone who really knew his way around.
Hello!
Artur is a native Bashkir, one of the event organisers and a Sabantui expert.
Sabantui is an old Bashkir, Tatar and Kazakh feast. In the old days, people used to come together here as a form of communion. Being nomads, they had little opportunity to communicate in everyday life. Here they got together once a year and married off their daughters.
There might not have been wedding bells in the air, but there was still plenty to celebrate. And in Bashkir and Tatar culture, that means masses of food.
Hello. Please try our national drink. Buza.
Muza.
Yes, buza.
This is boiled horse meat.
Wow, I was thinking of a little bite.
Try some chak-chak, please.
This is supposed to be the best honey in Russia, so this is taking the honey actually out of the cones here. And there we go. You see these two bees that have got stuck.
But if you really want to work up an appetite, you can always test out your prowess in some traditional sports.
And they've got a few unusual tests of manhood at this festival, like the fastest pole climber. This chap's not getting off to a terribly good start.
And there's plenty of action for the local strongmen too.
There's a couple of mismatches going on here. Looks like the guy's about 13 years old getting manhandled by this much bigger guy.
Sadly, the competition was going on all day, and I had a previous engagement to attend. So, after a few painful-looking body slams, I headed back to Artur's tent.
Right, well, after watching all that sport and all that dancing, it's definitely made me hungry. So I'm in the right place, I think. Здравствуйте.
Salam alaikum.
Salam alaikum.
Добро пожаловать.
Спасибо. Right, so I need to wash my hands.
And when they're throwing a dinner party, they don't mess around.
Take a seat.
Look at this. Fit for a king. Fabulous. Oh.
This is our traditional dish. Give it a try.
But there's no need to worry about overeating, because they have a few natural digestive aids on hand.
It's another kind of slightly alcoholic, fermented, milky drink.
Just a word of warning, vegetarians should definitely stay away.
Bashkiri hospitality. I tell you what, Glastonbury might have Robbie Williams, but if I can eat like this at Sabantui, I'll take it every time.
Good man. A real Bashkir. 100%.
With the table still groaning with food, I finally waddled away from my hosts and Sabantui. It had been a very delicious day, but for the sake of my stomach, it was time to start looking at a few of Chelyabinsk's more active pursuits. The Chelyabinsk region is full of sprawling woods and forests, so it's hardly surprising that the locals have developed a taste for country sports. And I headed just outside the capital to see what I could bag.
For a very long time, the British have enjoyed shooting small flying things with large guns. And that's not something I've ever had a go at until today, where I think I'm going to be able to break my duck. Or at least my pigeon. I'm pretty sure that that sign means I really do not want to be in this area, so I'm going to hurry off.
Of course, being kind and gentle souls here on Discovering Russia, the pigeons we were after were all artificial, and Marat was my crackshot instructor.
Hey there. My name's Marat.
The club's been open for more than 10 years, and it's the most popular in the area. And soon, I was ready to blow away some clay.
Locked and loaded, as Bruce Willis might say. Okay.
And I'll take a little beginner's luck wherever I can get it.
You never believe it. First time, first hit. Can I carry on? 2 from 2. I could get to like this.
According to Marat, the secret is to shoot the clay right at the top of the arc.
Don't turn your head. Only look down the sights.
And before long, I was ready for a solo effort.
Okay, so I'm going to see if I can load the thing myself now. And we're ready to shoot.
I think this must be the most fun you can have with a deadly weapon, and you can even pick up a few tiny mementos.
Well, I think that counts as a pretty successful first hunt. And of course, I need to take home a trophy or two. What?
I might have mastered the shotgun, but you don't really want to bump into someone with one on your afternoon hike. If I was going to take a weapon with me, I needed something a little smaller. With all of the Chelyabinsk region's wide open spaces and countryside, it never hurts to have a good knife on you. But if you are going to survive in the wild, why not do it with a little bit of style? Because here, they've been making Russia's most beautiful blades for almost 200 years. Zlatoust swords are famous for their quality and decorative engraving. For more than a century, local bladesmiths were the only official suppliers for the Russian army and navy, as well as the Tsar's court. The history of the modern factory dates back to the late 90s, but its designers have a heritage that appeals to weapon buffs around the country, and I was going to watch them make me a knife.
And this chap cools it with a special coolant and sands it down to the normal shiny appearance of the steel.
Once the blade has been filed and shaped, the rest of the components are all assembled by hand.
So this
This is a dagger.
So this dagger's just been put together and checked, fitted into its bronze scabbard here, brass scabbard, sorry, with a brass handle. And that's what it looks like now. And you certainly wouldn't want to be on the wrong end of that, because that is sharp.
Assuming everything passes inspection, the new blades are then sent to the factory artists, where they're given an individual design.
This black paint-like substance is actually an acid-resistant lacquer, and when the blade is galvanized, this little bit, which isn't covered, will turn golden, and this little bit will stay silver, so you get the distinctive emblem.
And then it's returned to the workshop for the last finishing touches.
So look at that beauty, my authentic Zlatoust hunting knife. Just gotta hope I never need to use the thing now.
With my newfound weapon, the Chelyabinsk wilderness held no fears. And if you're looking to get away from it all, this is the place for you.
Wow, now that was worth the trip. So I've made it to Zhurat Kul, the highest mountain lake in the Urals, which is considered to be one of the most beautiful and unique landscapes in the whole country.
The lake is 724 meters above sea level and attracts more than 60,000 tourists during high season. And it's so clean that you can drink from it.
A thirsty guy here. Dobry dzień.
Hello, my name is Sergey.
Sergey is one of the park rangers at Zhurat Kul, and he's also an expert on the local flora and fauna.
The national park is a safe haven for many animals. Sometimes bears can even be seen on this trail.
They hide in the grass and wait for tourists.
There are many moose and hares here. There are also many roe deer and foxes, plus a host of birds, wood black and hazel grouse.
And if you find that the ants have carried off your picnic, Sergey can provide a wild banquet of sorts.
Alpine cucumber.
No.
No? What так можно есть?
Alpine, жестко переросшая.
Bora. Oh.
Кислая.
It is called kislitsa in Russian, which actually means something sour. It definitely lives up to its name. Well, you know, if you're living off the land, this is what you've got to eat.
And at least dehydration's not a problem.
It was good, actually. Also, you've got fresh water, you've got your delicious greens. You could survive here. You get thinner. Maybe that wouldn't be such a bad thing, eh?
With a few alpine cucumber snacks in my pocket, I headed out of the forest. But I was still sticking close to the water.
The Chelyabinsk region has always been an important industrial centre for Russia. And that noise tells me I should be quite close to a special bit of engineering.
And as long as you don't look down too often, you should be able to walk right over it.
Well, I don't think it's going to pass a health and safety inspection, but this old bridge means I'm in the right place, because underneath these very rickety boards is the longest serving hydroelectric dam in the country.
For over 100 years, the station here has been lighting up the local community. first powering the old ferro-alloy factory, and now it's the only electric source for 2 nearby villages. And Chief Engineer Anatoly is the man in charge.
This looks like a knowledgeable chap.
Anatoly's worked here for the best part of 20 years, and now manages the power station on his own. But the equipment's been here far longer than him.
So that's been going since 1909, the same system, still working today.
And if he needs to crank up the juice, he just turns the wheel.
So according to how much electricity they need to generate, this controls the amount of water that flows through here. And obviously the more they let in, the faster the wheel turns, the more they can generate.
And with equipment this reliable in place, there's no reason it couldn't last another 100 years.
Mind-boggling to think of the amount of water that's flowed down that dam. It runs at almost 4 tons per second, and it's been doing it for over a century, and still no signs of slowing down.
It was almost time for me to leave the Chelyabinsk region, but before I went, I thought I deserved a trip to one of the area's lakeside resorts. And now, it was time for me to get on the water. We were heading out to a rocky island in the middle of the water, but to get there, I needed to make a quick change.
We're almost in the right place here, but supposedly the most interesting thing about this area isn't actually the island itself, but what's underneath it. And to explore that, I just need to meet a couple of new friends. Hello! Now I just got to successfully leap from here to there without going in there. Right! Привет! Привет, Nikolai. Right, so we're going to go diving.
Yes, we are going to dive in one of the lake's most interesting spots. We'll go to a depth of 12 meters.
Nikolai is the resort's chief dive instructor, and he promised we were in for an underwater adventure. And once I was kitted up, it was time to get wet.
Finally ready to take the plunge. I just hope it's not too chilly.
It certainly wasn't warm, but the full wetsuits meant we were able to stay down for quite a while and take a proper look at the island. And I got to meet the local wildlife, both below and above the surface.
Okay?
Whew, okay. Спасибо большое. Well, it's not quite the Great Barrier Reef down there, but it's definitely the best dive that I've done in Russia. And I finally got my water sports fix in for the trip. Whew, time to relax, I think. Whew.
It had been a long journey around the Chelyabinsk region, and I felt I'd earned a little R&R. This is a stunning part of the country, and it's a place where you can experience both European and Asian hospitality among some of Russia's most beautiful scenery.